I'm Sandrine. Welcome to the Thrive Table, a segment of the Why to Thrive podcast where we have conversations around the mind, purpose, and leadership. In today's edition, I have here with me Jeremy and Michael. I'm going to introduce them right away. JeremyQuainoo is a seasoned Fintech Executive with over a decade of experience driving financial inclusion and digital transformation across Africa. He's a rising voice in leadership whose work brings a grounded, real-world perspective to what it truly means to earn the right to guide. His leadership journey and clarity on legacy will offer us a refreshing lens today. Thank you so much, Jeremy, for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure. Michael Adote, on the other hand, is a life coach and the founder of Poimen, an organization dedicated to empowering individuals to master their minds, live on purpose, and lead with diligence. He's the visionary behind the Living on Purpose course, the Poimen Mastery Program, and a voice in leadership as well as personal growth. Thank you, Michael, for showing up every time.
Thank you, Sandrine. It's good to be back.
Now to our amazing community, whether you are watching or listening from Ghana or beyond, thank you for joining. Feel free to drop your thoughts, questions, or reflections in the chat. We would attend to you. Now let's delve right into the agenda for today. Are you ready?
Yes, we are.
All right. So today we will explore a very compelling theme. The makings of a Cynosure. The makings of a Cynosure. What it means to not just be seen, but to guide others meaningfully as a leader. Now, before we start the conversations, I want to get your expectations for today and what you want that expectation to drive home a thought in the minds of our listeners and the people watching.
Sure. So I'm expecting us to have an interesting, an engaging, and informative, thought-provoking conversation that leaves people with a sense of understanding of what it means, not just to lead in the spotlight, but to lead behind the scenes in your everyday life as well.
Leading behind the scenes, not just in the spotlight.
Yeah, I just love what he said.
Right.
I am looking to learn, of course, from him, and then also listen to what people are thinking and then be able to share my perspectives as well, because it's a subject that is relevant for every season. Once you're talking about leadership, Cynosure, I'm just so eager to have a conversation. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
All right, Michael, I'm going to start with you, obviously. You mentioned in your recent podcast on how your journey with the word Cynosure began way back in 2017 and how it has evolved into a deep framework that shapes how you lead and influence others. Now, I want you to take us back then, how you connected with the word, what it means, what sparked your connection, and how it has shaped your leadership lens. That's like a three-part question.
I hope I don't forget when I'm speaking. But I think fundamentally, random moments can always become something great. So it's not the first time it's happening. But in my case, I was watching the first edition of the 2017 FIFA Best Awards. And before the show started, they were giving us a preview of people walking into the arena. And I noticed how when a star shows up or a football icon, that the fans are just crazy and they get very excited. And then when an unknown personality comes in, they are totally indifferent. And around the same time, I was reading a book and I came across the word Cynosure, which talks about something that is known for its brilliance, but then it also serves as a guide for others. So in thinking through it and then watching the show, the word just came to life, you know. And then I started looking up the meaning of the word and realized that it dates back to a star called the North Star or Polaris. And in that star, people were looking to it when they were navigating the seas, and they were using it to sail. And it was a star that doesn't move. All the stars seem to be moving, but once you're able to locate that star, you can figure out your way. So that's what made the word very compelling. But it led me to ask a broader question, like beyond all these fans and the noise people are making when they see a star, is that all they are for, or they should be doing more? So I think the latter definition of Cynosure, which is something that serves as a guide to others, is what was very important to me. Okay. So that's where the love started from, and it blossomed into a Toastmaster speech, and then it led to a framework. Okay. So that's the backstory.
If I get you right, you mean the word means guidance or like a compass?
Yeah, something like that. But something that is constant and people can look at it and expect a certain outcome or a certain perspective when they look at it, because it's consistent. That's the whole idea. Yeah.
Awesome. So Jeremy, what does it mean to earn the right to guide others? And in a culture obsessed with visibility, how do we shift focus from attention to impact?
Brilliant question. I think earning the right to guide others is focusing not on attention, but focusing on adding value. I think, as you mentioned, the kind of culture that we have today is quick to focus on the attention elements, to put people in the spotlight, not for valuable reasons, but for popular reasons. I think we have to shift from the popularity to becoming people of substance and people of value, because that is when you actually earn the right to be followed and to be seen as a Cynosure. I think that it's important that as an individual who is looking to become a Cynosure, you focus on leading yourself with the integrity, with the consistency, because it's a powerful thing to be a guiding light to others, because you're not just influencing them to make decisions external of themselves, but most people look at you and reorient their lives, mimicking what you do. So it's important that you are portraying the version of yourself that influences positively and not just for popularity.
Okay. Thank you so much. And Michael, back to you. We live in a time where followers are often seen as proof of influence. What's your take on it? And in relation to the metrics of success today?
I have strong objections to that.
Okay.
And it's premised on something I saw. I was thinking about it, but sometimes when you are thinking something, you've not talked to anybody about it, and then you see it somewhere, it just gives you the belief that what you were thinking was right. Okay. So I came across a study by Stephen Covey where he was talking about a 200-year observation of success and what typifies success. And he noticed two striking trends. In one breath, success was built on what was called character ethic.
Okay.
And character ethic is what drives consistency, character, integrity, trustworthiness, diligence. So these are things that people build success on. And he described that as timeless principles. Consistency will never change.
Right.
Character will never change. It's the same thing across generations. But then he noticed a shift to personality ethics, where it became what I can make people see, how I can change my appearance, how I can create an image, how I can create a brand. Now, it's not fundamentally wrong, but it's not built on substance.
Okay.
And if we want, or we are talking about leadership from a Cynosure's perspective, it has to be built on character ethic.
Okay.
Because that's what people are looking at, that's what people are gauging, that's what people are assessing us with. Now we can decide that we add the personality ethic to where we brand ourselves, we look good. There's nothing wrong with that, but that can be the substance of our leadership. So that's where I have issues. So for example, as we have a conversation here, we are talking about being Cynosures. It's built on our character as individuals.
Yes.
But we are leveraging off technology to reach more people, because we see the value that it brings us. So the two work together, but one has to be the foundation and the other has to be the topping. Unfortunately, in our day,
it's upside down.
We've made the personality the foundation, and then this is the topping, and it can't work that way. Yeah. It's going to crumble at a point. So
I want to ask a follow-up question
to
Jeremy. You see, as he's saying, everyone is focusing on branding. We are being advised to, brand yourself, your appearance matter. And just a few people are really talking about the work, the substance. How do we bridge that gap?
I think it's with the understanding that the branding is to bring attention to the substance. The branding is not the focal point. It's what underpins or what is the foundation of that branding.
Okay.
There's a book that I read that put this in perspective. It's called Show Your Work.
Show Your Work.
And it's by Austin Kleon. And they basically talk about how in today's age, you can be good at what you do. You could be good in an area, but if nobody knows you, it's difficult to find you and get that value.
Exactly.
So for those who are already doing very good work, those who are already providing the value, the substance, the branding element is just to make sure that you're putting yourself out there in the right kind of light to reach your audience.
Okay.
What people get wrong is, without focusing on the substance, they go out and try to portray
themselves.
And yes, there's an adage of fake it till you make it. But you fake it because you have an intention to make it and you're working on making it. Most people begin to enjoy the process of
faking it.
To put it in a practical sense, it's almost like you're starting a business and your business is to sell clothes or to import stuff. But rather than focusing on building the systems to help you do the importation, you start first by building a website. And the website is very beautiful. It shows all the things you intend to do, but you've not actually invested in doing the thing. Mm-hmm. So when people come to the website, they don't get a good experience because you've invested in the branding and not in the substance. So that is what I think people need to be aware of. Understand that the brand is not you as an avatar of you, it's a representation of you. You have to make sure that the real you at the end of the day, when the spotlight is off, is also a valuable individual or entity.
So we should focus more on substance and use branding as a way to express ourselves.
100%.
Awesome. Now, follow it up again. In this social media era where people can curate content and make false images of themselves, how do we, the followers, discern between who we should truly listen to?
I will say consistency. Like, if someone is talking about something and then the next day they are talking about another thing, the next day they are talking about another thing, and the whole intent is just to go viral or just to create something that will get people talking or to join. There's this current trend I'm seeing, people sitting in a Bugatti and then they will raise their head and then somebody will pull their leg. And I'm like, why is this even trending? Why should this even be trending? But that's what people feed off. So people just, okay, let me go with the trend and let me give people what they want. But I'll say this, if you think someone is sharing something and you see value in it online, track them for a while.
Track them for a while because they are giving you a snapshot of their life. Okay.
But if you can track someone for not even 90 days, a year, because if you're talking about, for example, IG or Instagram, where I'm giving you 90 seconds, how many 90-second videos do you need to be able to tell that this person is solid? Probably countless.
Right.
So give yourself a year and observe the person, watch what they are saying, see if they are true to the message, and then find ways to validate. Because these days, even companies, when they want to hire someone, they check you out. We were just having that conversation where he was telling me, I shoot a video and people are reading my profile and making sure that the things I'm talking about, they see some synergy. And they may even go to the point of trying to talk to people who have worked with you or know you to get references. So we should also do that. Don't just see somebody give you a version of their lives and then you say, oh, this is the person. And then you just start following everything they do. So we have every right to determine, I'm going to allow this person into my space, but let them earn it because it's your space. It's your time. It's your phone. It's your data. It's your information. So allow people to earn the right, but let's assess, let's be sure, and let's track. And then we may not always get it right, but I think once you do this, you'll be able to gauge if somebody's true or they are just looking to get a hit and get ahead. And it's just about noise, but no substance.
Okay. But I also feel like sometimes somebody can be very consistent even with being false. Like creating a false image. That can't happen. Yeah. That can't happen.
No. Really. There's a point where you see the crack. And the thing is, we are all perceptive.
Okay.
You can see someone and have an impression.
Exactly.
You may not be able to tell why, but it's just a matter of time. You watch, you see the crack somewhere. And then you see someone, you can be wrong. You might think, oh, this is just another one hit wonder. But you watch. One day you're going to realize that I was actually wrong. Right. So I'm sharing both because we can be right, we can be wrong, but we need to give ourselves time to gauge and make. But if somebody is being fake, as they say in local parlance, it's like a person's character is like pregnancy.
Right.
You can't hide it. At a certain point, everyone will see it and will be able to tell what you are cooking underneath. So people can't fake it for a long while. The real them will show.
Jeremy, what's your take on what we are discussing?
I think my take is going to focus more on the individual, because the truth is, we each have a responsibility to be deliberate about how we spend our time and who we give our attention.
Exactly.
If I were to talk about value, there are certain people who would say, well, yes, there's somebody who provides inspirational content. Yes, there's somebody who provides educative content, but there's also value in entertainment content. So they will make an example and say, in my day, when I have a 30-minute lunch break, I like to watch the trends.
Yeah, the fun.
But as long as it's not an unconscious drawing of you to content that you unconsciously latch yourself to, I think it's fine. If you know that I have decided purposefully to watch this content for this period of time, and this is how it fits in my day because I'm either using it to distress as a distraction. What you do not want is to recognize that you have work to do, you have things to plan, you have a future that you're concerned about, and you begin to gravitate towards looking at content that is curated just to entertain you, and you end up spending
countless hours,
and
that's
beginning
true.
to think that this is how it should be. I think we all have the responsibility to be deliberate about where we allocate our attention. If you are allocating your attention, as Michael said, to someone who is giving you guidance about how life should be very deliberate about making sure that the consistency of the messaging is there. And, there's a saying about how sometimes it's better not to meet your heroes. It's the same way somebody will go to church and say, I know what this pastor does outside of church.
Right.
You have to make the conscious effort to say, I came here for a particular value. I'm going to extract that value and limit it to that value. Because sometimes if you try to mimic the lifestyle of the person providing the content, they're not the same.
Yeah.
Right.
So you have to be very deliberate about how you allocate your attention, your time, and make sure that you're being deliberate about where you focus your attention.
I think also that these days, because we are not so much, how do I put it? We want to just look like people we see on the internet. So we are not so deliberate in choosing who we really decide to follow.
Yeah.
How do people come back to who they truly are and follow their values as people?
I think it's a self-awareness thing. And self-awareness is in dimensions. There's you, there's your immediate environment, and then there's the world beyond your environment. People need to recognize that, yes, there's a world beyond my environment, there's an environment, but there's me. Who am I? What are the things I love? What are the things that make me unique? What are the things that make me come alive? It's important to know yourself.
Okay.
Now, when you know yourself, you can immediately begin to look in your environment and see where there are connections, where there are differences that complement you, where there are similarities that also complement you, but also know that there's a world beyond your environment. What most people don't do is they don't locate themselves.
Okay.
They jump into their immediate environment, or they jump into the world beyond them, and there's nothing reining them or nothing acting as a check or a balance that this isn't me. But it's like, I'm just floating. So I'm going with every current and everything that is.
Every trend.
But it starts with self-awareness. Know yourself. Know what makes you tick. Know what turns you off. And be able to start identifying what in your environment connects with you and what beyond your environment also resonates with you. That's where I feel a lot of people are missing it. So we are trying to find ourselves in others.
Exactly.
When we haven't found ourselves. You get it. So find yourself first. Then you can begin to look around to see how people around or the environment around complements and brings out the best in you. I think that's where we can make decisions easier.
Self-awareness. Awesome. So, do you think every influential person automatically is a leader?
No, I do not.
Why do you not?
Because I think it's possible in this day and age to be influential in the public eye, but be irrelevant in daily life. A leader is one that not only leads themselves and leads others, but essentially they model the type of behaviors that orient people positively.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is, in this day and age, it's easy to go viral for the wrong reason.
Exactly.
You could go viral for a joke or a prank or even a mistake. You not intentionally plan to go live. You have people who go into a music booth and make a freestyle that sounds funny. And by virtue of that, they gain fame and popularity. A leader does not seek the fame or popularity. They attract the fame and popularity based on the value that they've been able to give.
Okay.
So you recognize that in the past, when you call somebody a celebrity, they are celebrated for something that they are doing that adds value. Even if it's an entertainment, the actor is good at the movies they do. And because of that, people subscribe to them or ascribe to them. The football player is very good. And because of that, he's celebrated.
Yeah.
We are in a world right now where you just have to know how to, let's call it, mark the settings of what will take you viral. How do you attract eyeballs to your content? And that in itself can make you popular. But simply because you are popular does not mean that you are an influential person. And by virtue of that does not mean that you're a leader. You can be a leader of something, but it does not mean that you are actively modeling the kind of behaviors, the kind of attitude, the kind of integrity that is akin of somebody who is a guiding light and a North Star. Those are my.
So basically, a true leader should be a model, someone people can watch and mimic their lives positively.
Yes.
Positively.
Yes. A true leader should not just optimize to look successful. A true leader should actually live successfully.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if I may just add to what Jeremy talked about, I think true leadership is seen in when a person has authority.
Okay.
But beyond authority is when they are relevant. And relevance for me is, I can be, let's say, a footballer, but I can live my life in such a way as a footballer that somebody beyond football can look at my work ethic and apply it in their lives as a banker.
Okay.
And I think that's the true measure of who a great leader. And it's not so much having a following, but we can look at the person and we can see that this person is relevant. What they are doing can be replicated in different areas of life. It's not just limited to one thing, which is why Jeremy said somebody can lead in something or they may be blowing up online. But beyond that, does their life offer anything that can be a reference point for somebody who may not necessarily be doing what they do, but can draw inspiration from them and live their lives in their own way and achieve results in the thing that they are doing because they are looking at somebody. And I think that's what makes leaders really stand out from influencers.
Okay.
You get, or people who are just influential.
On that regard, do you believe in followers over legacy or vice versa? And do you also believe that both of them can coexist?
I think legacy has more posterity and substance than followers or followership. I think that having followers and leaving a legacy can coexist. However, if you seek only to accumulate followers, you may not necessarily be leaving a good legacy. A legacy goes beyond yourself, whereas followers gives people a sense of self-importance now because it's used as a metric to gauge success, popularity, notoriety. Whereas legacy is focusing on something deeper, i.e., what value have you brought to others? What will you be known or remembered for? What does the work that you do contribute to improving the lives of others, giving people respite in difficult times, or giving them deeper understanding or a solution to some sort of problem that they have that you are uniquely able to help with. Whereas if you are looking for followership, you don't necessarily have to look to provide value to others. It's looking to make sure that there's enough attention that people want to keep watching. So I do think they can coexist, but focusing on just the followership side can be a very shallow metric. Whereas legacy to me is a deeper metric that one should ascribe to.
Okay, awesome. I think I'll ask a follow-up question. I think people come on board and they truly want to give value, right? But just over time, they buy into their followership idea. Why is everyone not listening to me? Why is everyone not looking at me or paying attention to me? How do we break that mentality from people who initially genuinely wanted to, I'm doing this thing because I want to teach A, B, and C audience about this particular thing? Michael, you can take that.
I think that pressure is always there. Okay. It happens to even the greatest of leaders we read about or hear about, but it's being able to always circle back to why you do what you do.
Okay.
Right. And I think fundamentally in this conversation about Cynosure is founded on a person's belief system. And your belief system is your convictions. And so as a leader, or when we talk about being a Cynosure, you are led by your convictions, not by your feelings, not by your emotions, which are always running
all over the place.
Haywire, yeah, and there's this thought by the Greeks that say that our emotions are like horses and our minds are like the rider who sits on the horse. Mm-hmm. A horse is powerful. It has energy. It has strength. It will run anywhere. But that same horse, a rider can sit on it and it will ride before the queen. When she was going to be buried, you saw the horses majestically being controlled. Somebody was sitting on the horse, making sure that the horse is not running short. Right. You get it? So we all feel those emotional pulls that drag us to try this new thing and try that new thing. But we must always act from our convictions, because that's the part of us that is timeless. That's the part of us that is proven. That's the part that even gave you the sense that you can lead or you are called to lead. So it should act as a filter to try new things.
Okay.
It doesn't mean don't try new things. Don't try to be innovative. Don't try to expand, but always use your convictions as a filter to be able to tell, does this align? Does this depart? If it aligns, by all means, trying something new. There's nothing wrong with reinventing yourself. For example, when COVID came, I remember at the time I was the division director in Toastmasters, which Jeremy and I, that's where we met. And there was a challenging time when lockdowns happened and I had to send out a message to the Toastmasters community telling them how we were going to organize meetings. That was totally new. And I remember circling back and talking to people in the IT space, speaking to medical people about the risk of organizing meetings, and everything was like, you can't meet in person. And then the president gave the talk. And now we had to make the decision of meeting online. How do you build an online framework in a community that is very used to shaking hands, hugging, and like we're just talking about, we always want to be together. How do you help people make that shift, right? The convictions are, we are supposed to be communication and leadership people.
Okay.
We stay true to that, but we have to pivot because the season demands that we change our strategy. So once you have your convictions clear, it's easier to tell when it's time to dance to a new tune or when it's time to stay true to what you know. But you are always staying true to your convictions.
Okay. You always stay true to your why you started everything. Awesome. So away from followership and all that, Jeremy, what's one non-negotiable trait every leader must cultivate to become a trusted guide?
I am biased.
Okay.
Because as a Toastmaster, I would say the non-negotiable trait would be communication.
Okay.
It is one of the skills or the attributes that I think gets overlooked a lot. Because in many fields, people will watch what you do and it's what you say and how you communicate is not really a factor, especially now in the social media world where you just go online. But I'm yet to meet a leader who was globally seen as a guiding light, a North Star, Cynosure, who was not able to articulate themselves, articulate their thoughts, articulate their points of view, their philosophies, articulate the lessons that they learned throughout their lives that others began to embody and emulate. I think that it goes without saying that in order for you to be able to influence, for you to be able to convince, to persuade, your communication skills are quite paramount. In my experience, most of the best leaders that I've met tend to be people who are good communicators. Not that they are the most articulate, but they are very good at telling you their thoughts and telling you their opinions and how they see the world. It does not have to be with the Queen's English, but it has to be clear and succinct. And I think that it's an overlooked trait that I think is a non-negotiable, because that's the way that you imbibe certain elements like storytelling, like persuasive ability. And those are the ways or the tools of influence. So I think I would say communication is a non-negotiable.
Okay, awesome. Michael, how about you?
I'm character biased, so I always talk about character. And my basis for saying character is that there's a proverb I saw that said, a servant isn't corrected by mere words. Even though he hears what you are saying, he's not going to necessarily follow you. It's the character that underpins the words. So like Jeremy said, communication is great. Communication matters. I treasure communication. But if I'm looking at somebody who can speak so well, and I'm looking at his character, and I'm questioning, I mean, beyond all this nice talk, this guy, he's going to be the first person to bend the rules and to tell us to do what he says, not what he does. You get it? So for me, it's just character. Just be somebody who people see that, oh, he lives by what he says. And I think that once you do that as a leader, it qualifies you to begin to lead people, or people start giving you permission to lead them. You may have the position, but they may decide that because of the way you live your life, because of the character that you display, permission is granted unconsciously, and you can begin to influence them. So that's what I'll add to what Jeremy said.
Okay, character. I think with bending rules, right? I feel like sometimes it's a feeling, but sometimes people are so fast to tell people what to do than they doing it. Or I'm alone.
That's true.
It's true.
So it's easier to see faults in others than within yourself.
Yes. So how do we bridge the gap as leaders to actually ensure that what we are saying or asking people to do is what we are living by as leaders?
I think it comes back to Michael's point about self-awareness. You don't lead because you are beyond fault, and you do not get to lead because you are perfect. You should not see a sign of leadership as an indication of arrival or perfection. You should see it as a responsibility and a privilege to help people along the same path that you are on, rather than highlighting the deficits that others may have that you may excel in. So it's not a signal of you being superior to others, where you think that you have some moral high ground to point out what people are doing wrong or not having effective. It's essentially a responsibility given to you to help others up the same ladder that you have climbed, or have some perspective about what they can do to improve on these deficits. So yes, it's natural human habit, it's natural behavior to see somebody doing something and try to tell them how they should do it better. But sometimes if you are a leader, you realize that there is more value in listening, getting the context that is leading to the behavior you're seeing, than immediately going into prescription and solution mode because you think that this person is not at the same level as you are. So I think it's important to have that self-awareness and that maturity if you ascribe to be a leader.
I think also to be willing to learn along and not feel like you've arrived.
Of course. Exactly. Very true.
Okay, now I want us to be more practical. Michael, you built the Poimen community on the idea of mastery and guidance. How do you coach people to transition from just being seen to becoming deeply rooted leaders?
I will try my best to answer the question, but I fundamentally help people understand how their mind is working.
Okay.
So in the Poimen Mastery Program, we recently launched something called the 7-Day Mind Tracker. Okay. And it just helps you catch your mind every day. So you set reminders and you figure out, what am I thinking about? What's occupying my mind? What's dominating my thoughts? What's triggering me to act in a certain way? And once people begin to understand how their mind is serving them, it gives them information they can use to start making changes. Okay. So that's the first foundational thing, because the mind is what is the decision maker, the belief system, the habits, they are all there. So when you understand how yours is serving you in a good way and in a not so good way, you have information that you can do something with. And then I move people on to the purpose discovery, which is the self-awareness. People need to know who they are. People need to know that they have a voice. People need to know that they have a cry, something that beyond their voice is a burden that they want to solve. Helping people connect with that cry and helping people find a space where they can begin to apply themselves, because we all need outlets.
Right.
Every one of us has something inside us, and it is the outlet that allows Jeremy to do what he does. Jeremy to share his thoughts on fintech. If that outlet is not there, he's working with all this information in him. Yeah. I may be working with all the information in me. You may be working in all the information. Even our listeners have so much in them. We need outlets. So that's really how I generally help people find themselves. Understand how your mind is serving you, and then find a space that you can begin to pour yourself. Okay. That gives them a push in life in the right direction. Okay. I mean, you can't really say it all in, but I'm trying to be as succinct as possible.
Okay. I think both of you have mentioned self-awareness for quite some time, right? And I also believe that the reason why we buy into trying to live like other people is because we don't understand ourselves in the first place. So now, how do we become self-aware as people who are, willing to become leaders, who are willing to become change makers? How do we really become self-aware?
Is that to me or to Jeremy?
Jeremy, you can take that first.
Sure. One, I read a quote. I don't remember whose quote was it, but the quote basically said that all the problems that we face as humanity stem from the fact that a man is not able to sit quietly for 10 minutes by himself. And
it's so true.
It's a funny quote, but I think that it's something that people feel very uncomfortable with. Facing yourself with no distractions, no ways to know other people. Just sit by yourself and face yourself. It's almost like looking at yourself in the mirror and accepting what you see, questioning all the things you know about yourself. There was a question that my friend, also called Michael, used to ask. He used to ask girls that he was looking to date.
Right.
I found it very interesting that he was bold enough to ask that question, but he would always ask them, would you date yourself? And when he would ask him why he's asking, he would say, because I don't know you, but you know you. And if you're being honest with yourself, you know everything that you don't like about yourself. Now, knowing all the things that you don't like about yourself, would you date yourself? And for most people, it's no, right? Because unless you've actually actively accepted your deficits first and then began to work on those shortcomings, it's difficult to even acknowledge that you have those deficits or become the kind of person that you're going to. So I think self-awareness is having the boldness to face your shortcomings, question yourself. I shared with Michael on the last podcast that we had together, the last podcast episode, that when I realized the heights that I wanted to climb to, I realized that I needed to have some honest conversations with myself. But it was not enough for me to only go with my perspective, because as human beings, we all have blind spots.
Right.
The way you perceive yourself is not the way that other people perceive. So I did an exercise where I reached out to the closest 5 people I knew from my family, closest 5 people I knew as friends, and asked them to give me the most honest, brutal feedback as to what they think
about you
is wrong with me or I do wrong. And it's a very humbling experience, because you are forbidding them to say anything positive, and naturally you are inclined to seek the positive. And you give them the reassurance that even if it offends me, I want you to be brutally honest, because they are the ones who see you.
Right.
And you begin to notice that in the feedback that you get, there are certain themes that run through. People might not have the same way of describing it, but they will tell you that you disconnect very quickly, or you can be condescending, or you can be overly instructive. And you have to receive all of this feedback. Let it simmer. Feel the thing. Think about how, after all I've done for this person, this is how they see me. And then accept that he's not the only one saying it. And face the reality that if this is the image or the personality that you're portraying, even if it's not intentional, this is the representation of you. And put together an active plan to work on these things.
Exactly.
I think a lot of people are not willing to go through that exercise.
Right.
And so self-awareness becomes an unattainable element
goal
for them
to achieve.
But if you are able to actually do that, and in Toastmasters, they help with that because you face evaluation in front of an audience. Being criticized on the stand in public display is one of the most humbling experiences you can have. And if you can take that, imbibe the feedback, because people can listen, but they will do nothing about it. Because I've heard somebody say, plain to me, that I do not respect the person who gave me the feedback, so why would I take the feedback? It's not a right way to think about some of these things. You think about what they're saying and use that as a guiding yardstick to determine which elements you do not like. Maybe there's feedback that you heard about people and decided that this is important for me. I think I've heard you say before that sometimes you need to know when to say no. Somebody might complain that Michael says no too quickly. When he's not even going to try the thing, he already says no. But you know yourself, and you know that you didn't start from a position where you used to say no. So this no must stay. Otherwise, you do not own your time and you don't own that. However, if somebody says that it is not just the fact that you say no, it's the manner in which you say
no. I need to pay attention.
That you need to pay attention to the way you are coming across, because people feel you are dismissing them. You have to have that conversation with yourself. You have to sit down with yourself without any distractions, and you will solve a lot of the world's problems.
Very, very true.
Jeremy has really spoken a lot, but this
I understand.
Down, right, on what finding yourself truly means. We should sit down with ourselves, face your shortcomings and the negative feedback you hear about yourself, feel the pain, and find ways to build yourself one at a time. Thank you so much. Michael, true. Do you have anything to
we talked about the 4 dimensions of self on the Thrive table. That was actually our first Thrive table edition. And we started from the open self, where it's what people know about you. Right. Then we moved to the blind self. And then we moved to the hidden self. And then we moved to the unknown self. And it was a very, very engaging conversation. I'm really glad that you have just said the same thing. So he's done the work for us.
Okay. So my next question would be to Michael again. What does leadership look like when no one is clapping?
For me personally.
Yes, for you.
It's understanding the mind, understanding purpose, and understanding leadership. And I do that simply by a 3-day cycle. So today can be day 1. For example, I'll pick a verse of scripture about the mind. I'll meditate on that verse morning, afternoon, evening. The following day, I'll pick a verse on purpose, 1 verse a day. I'll break it into 3, morning, afternoon, evening. Then I'll do leadership morning, afternoon, evening. Now, the question is, why do you do that? Because this is what I'm committed to. This is what I say I help people do. So every day I need to occupy my mind with things that are helping me to address the challenges that are coming. So whether I have a coaching session, whether I'm coming to do a podcast, whether I'm sitting on Wire to Thrive, I do it every day. You get it? Because it's a discipline I realize I need to build, and I've kept for a long time, because constantly keeping your mind fresh and open to new things. And it doesn't have to be mind, purpose, leadership. For you, it may be something else. But drill down and understand the things that make you tick, or the things that your life you believe your life is about, and find a source that you're drawing from consistently. And I'm not talking about big drawing, minute, just like I said, one verse. And I just think through the verse, and that verse can open me up to so many things. It can connect me to something I'm reading. It can connect me with something I'm having a conversation with someone with, and it keeps me going. So that's my day to day, whether there's camera or nothing. I always do that.
Okay. Awesome. Jeremy, earlier, before Michael spoke, you mentioned how we need to sit with ourselves. And I feel like people feel like the world is so fast now. Like they are just moving from one task to the other. And it feels like there's almost no time for you to really sit, this is how today went. This is how my mind was. This is what I thought about and all. So how do people cultivate this habit of truly saying that, you know what, this 10 minutes every day, I'm going to just sit down with myself, try and understand what I'm doing, where I'm driving to and all that. How do we build that discipline?
The thing about building the right habits is that you have to go through the difficult parts. Okay. It's not easy to start to change from the norm that you become so accustomed to.
Right.
And there is no secret formula to building discipline other than to be disciplined.
Exactly.
It's the same way that there's no way to know if you can trust somebody without trusting them first.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have to first go through the hardship. Like he said, leadership when no one is clapping is leadership of yourself by yourself. It's the same thing that if you want to build the right habits, you have to be disciplined by yourself.
Yeah.
It's one of the hardest things to do, and I think, to quote Kevin Hart, one of the hardest things to do is to wake up every day, show up, go all out, and not see the results the same day.
Yeah.
And then have to do the thing the same
again,
thing the next day. With the intention that eventually this will all add up to
compounding effect.
The compounding effect will kick in. So I think it's important to understand that you have to take the little steps that are hard today for that habit to become ingrained. And somebody gave a very basic example that said that every morning you wake up and then you brush your teeth. You do not go through the process of how do I feel about brushing my teeth. That part has left by this time. I'm hoping.
That
it has left by this time where you wake up and you brush your teeth because it has become so ingrained in your daily life that there is no conversation. The only thing that might break your routine is something that the only thing that might break that habit is if a routine, let's say you woke up and there was a fire and there was no time to
brush your teeth.
But on a normal day, there is no conversation about
should I
I'm
or should
in
I
bed
not
today because I am debating whether teeth brushing is on the table. You've gone through the difficult parts and now it's become ingrained. And it just gives you the hope that other things that you do can become good habits. You just have to get through the difficult part of change and then continue to do it, even though you don't see the results immediately. So be encouraged.
I was going to say, honestly, the difficult part, as it's difficult to get through, a new habit and try to cultivate discipline and all that. So my next question on leadership would be to Michael.
Okay.
So as leaders and world changers, how do we develop character, competence, and creativity outside the spotlight?
I think it circles back to your routines.
Okay.
Because your routines are the things that you're going to be doing over and over again that sharpen you as a person, that make you a better person as a person. And then your routine should also include sharpening your skills. In every discipline, there are certain skill sets that you need. It may cut across in some areas, but it may also be very nuanced in certain areas. You need to know what those skills are and make room to sharpen yourself in those areas. All that is also in your routine. And creativity is not going to come often. Creativity will come when we make time to disengage. So I was recently talking to someone and I told the person that in the day, I'm like a man, but at night I'm a bird. And the person was like, what do you mean by that? Birds fly from the top. So they see So being a bird means that you disengage from everything that's happening around you and make time to think, make time to replay your day, make time to think through what you're about to do. You have a presentation, you have a call, you have something coming up. Spend some time to think. You'll be amazed at the discoveries you make. So when you build that as a habit, creativity will come. People look at you like you're some special being who just drew, but it's just character development, building competence, and then doing things, disengaging and allowing your mind to find solutions. I remember I was a vice president public relations of Jolati when we chatted at the club, and I was supposed to be coming up with flyers, and the president of the club for some reason will have a wild theme and then say the theme for today is something. Now, when he throws the theme, it is your job to go and find like an artwork that really gives vigor to the theme. And I learned that sometimes I can be struggling to design one artwork. At that time, Canva was new, figuring out how to use Canva. And I just decided, let me disengage. So I'll just disengage, be doing something else. I would come back and the same artwork that I was struggling with, I would immediately have inspiration. So that's where in the day I'm a person and then at night I become a bird. It's like, I just took my mind off it. I just allowed my mind to think. I came back to it and I was able to solve it. And sometimes it made me just talking to somebody and picking somebody's thoughts on something and getting a fresh pair of eyes, and it makes all the difference. So these things are not big things, but it's the commitment to doing them
every day
that sharpen us and make us leaders that can make a difference. And people can always look up to us and know that we have something to offer. Yeah.
Jeremy, do you have anything to say?
I think Michael has set the scene quite nicely. I think that I don't want to mark, but because I'm still thinking like I think he can't really nice.
Okay. Awesome. So we are coming to the end of today's session, and I want to ask you both. I think Jeremy can take it first. What is being a Cynosure supposed to look like in our daily leadership lives?
Being a Cynosure in our daily lives is leading quietly, intentionally, and powerfully. Leading quietly but powerfully, and also intentionally. Not seeking the attention, but attracting attention because you are being a person of substance and of value. Showing up every day diligently with consistency, intentionality, and with the intention to give value to others and to help others become better by coming in contact with you. It's not a selfish endeavor. It's not a self-aggrandizing endeavor. It's a selfless and an endeavor that focuses on others and legacy, as you said. So I think that's what being a Cynosure is.
Usually I would say something I took from it, but I'm sure
you got
it right.
Yeah.
Michael, how about you?
I had been waiting to say something about Jeremy and his definition of who a Cynosure is just captures that. He talked about quietly but powerfully. And before I reached out to him, right, I was asking myself, what comes to mind when I think of Jeremy? What comes to mind? And I wrote down on my phone that a quiet storm.
A quiet storm.
Now, I mean, who can describe a storm that is quiet? But that's exactly how he's described who a Cynosure is. And I highlight that to let you know that this is who he is. He's telling you who he is, because that's how I see him. It's like, you don't hear anything and then he's breezed past. If it's a speech, he's aced it. If it's something he's supposed to do, he just does it. Right. And so just hearing him talk that way, it just affirmed what I had written down about a quiet storm. One that doesn't cause distraction, by the way. Not a destructive one. So my closing thoughts about being a Cynosure is your convictions. For me, it's about your convictions, and your convictions are your beliefs. and how you are able to live them through and through, how you are able to stay true to them when the going gets tough, how you stay true to them when there's nothing at stake, but you still don't depart from it. So for me, it comes down to our convictions, because that is what gives people a reference point to say, I know what to expect from this person. And this one, I got a message from my older sister, and the messages talked about, all she said is, I saw this and I thought about you. And it was consistency gets results. That's all she said. Right. And for me, for my sister to say, I know my brother and I know my brother is consistent means more to me than someone tells me on social media. Why? Because she's lived with me. She's watched me, and she can affirm that I know this about my brother. You get it. And that's a conviction that I have, and she can see it. So that's what it is for me.
A quiet storm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So all too soon, we are wrapping up on the 5th edition of the Thrive Table. And I want our audience to really pause and reflect on these 2 questions. What part of your life needs more depth than just display? What part of your life needs more depth than just display? I feel like I'm asking myself this question. This good. And the second one is, who do you look to for direction, and what makes them a cynosure in your eyes? Who do you look up to for direction, and what makes them a cynosure in your eyes? Back to you, Michael and Jeremy. If anyone wants to connect with your work or your journey, how can they reach out? You can share your social media handles. And
the same name, Michael Adote.
The same name.
Nothing,
Michael.
no alias, no wild. Yeah,
Coach
just Michael.
No,
just Michael Adote.
Just Michael Adote across all social media.
Everywhere.
Jeremy, how about you?
Yeah, the same thing. I use JeremyQuainoo in all my social media, especially where the full name is. So if you Google me, you'll find that Jeremy runs through. And easiest way to engage me is on LinkedIn. I stay glued to LinkedIn.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay, so you can reach Michael and Jeremy across all social media platforms at Michael Adote and JeremyQuainoo. Now, this session has reminded us that true influence isn't just about being seen. It's about what we radiate from within. A cynosure doesn't demand attention. They earn respect by being light, truth, and guidance. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you so much, Jeremy, for showing up today. We'll see you later on in our conversations. And finally, to our amazing listeners, keep shining, but most importantly, guide well and follow well. Guide well and follow well. Bye. Bye.